if we hold each other, if we held each other accountable, I do believe black women would have no choice but to follow suit. And the way we do that, we we got to start cleaning up after each other. And that means if a woman has a child by another man, leave her alone. Hands off. Let that man, the one she chose, raise that child. And I think when men stop playing stepdad to another man's legacy, two things is going to happen. Women become more intentional about who they sleep with and who they let get them pregnant. And then men are forced to show up because there's no one else there to do it for them. And no, it's not hate or anything like that. Or I don't. I'm pushing that I don't like our people. It's just establishing some type of order. Um, Stop rewarding recklessness, and I think a lot of us men are doing it. We don't like to talk about it, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it. But we got to let consequences teach what comfort never will. So if you didn't create a child, you're not responsible for the cleanup. Hold the man responsible and let that woman sit with the choices she made. And I think only then will the culture, will the community start to shift. Until then, we're just enabling and calling it love. But this is a hard choice to make. But I think if we start doing this, it's going to cause a huge paradigm shift.
So the solution is basically manipulation. We are going to not listen to anything women have to say about what they need in order to feel safe with men, in order to actually be in these relationships and be healthy and happy. The answer that I just heard is to manipulate and to back women into a corner, because there could be many different reasons a woman has a baby by a man and is not with him anymore. So you're basically disciplining women into only having babies by the men that they are married to, also not letting that man die on them or divorce them or leave. Like, there, yeah, men, y'all have such a rigid view of how things happen. You try to put every single thing in a box, and humanity does not fit in a box. Your solution just now is literally manipulation, and you cannot manipulate a woman being left with children, be it whatever situation. Not necessarily she did something irresponsible to have that happen. There's nothing irresponsible about a woman being married, having a baby, and getting divorced or being a widow. Like, we have to be for real right now. We have to come up with actual solutions, because your method of control is manipulation. It does nothing to solve the problem. The only thing this particular method is going to do is cause an even bigger problem. Because, and I also want you all to get the word legacy completely out of your vocabulary, because I can guarantee you there will be no one that remembers most of you guys' names. Your names aren't on buildings. Your names are not in subdivisions. You can't use your names. You don't have a legacy that you're leaving to a child. You do have lineage, though. So taking care of another man's lineage would be the verbiage that you would use.
Good for you, M. White.
For men who are building communities, who have built things with their names on it, who are in history and record books. That's a legacy. That's what you leave your children. The legacy is what you leave your children.
All right. So
real thing.
I'm not surprised by you, Boheme, associating manipulation with a man, men holding men accountable, and jumping to the extreme that a man becoming deceased is a way to punish her. To if you needed me to add that in there, and I just would have thought you would have used some type of intelligence to compensate for the fact that maybe if the father is deceased, then we would have a brother, an uncle, or his father, or a close male relative to pick up the slack. But I know some people need to be breadcrumbed until that type of intelligence. So there you have it. But no, the solution is accountability, not manipulation. What's manipulative is creating a life with a man you don't respect and then expecting another man to raise the child. What's manipulative is removing choice from good men, putting them in emotional traps, using guilt, shame, or hero messaging to make them play cleanup crew. Choosing to walk away from that setup is not manipulation. It's protection, it's boundaries, it's finally saying no to being used as a second chance for someone else's bad choices or bad
Bruiser,
decisions.
can I
If
ask you
holding
something?
people, if holding people to the consequences of their own choices is now considered manipulation, then maybe the real issue is the expectation of being rescued without responsibility. That's the issue.
So you don't feel like you started off the sentence with this is a great opportunity to hold men accountable. So um I'm not saying that what you said is wrong or is right, but I think it should have been necessarily the kind of like the opposite. So instead of saying like, oh, men shouldn't be stepfathers, shouldn't it be women shouldn't date men that choose to walk away? That's holding them accountable. That's giving them some form of punishment, because you said you wanted to hold men accountable in that moment, and then you gave women a form of punishment. So give men a form of punishment by saying, no, you don't get to go have a girlfriend. I don't get to call you and ask you like, why can you get the kids this weekend, and you're telling me you took your girlfriend on a trip, and you don't get to do stuff like that. So it's men should be held accountable. So it should turn into like, okay, the men can't go, the men can't walk away from the child that they made. The men shouldn't be dating outside of their baby mama. The men should, that is when I hear accountability, I hear how can we reinforce what we are expecting of the men? And that's not what we as women, if and I don't want to speak for nobody up here, but I kind of do see some heads nodding. That's not what we as women just heard. What we as women just heard was you say you wanted to hold men accountable and then talk about what needs to happen to the women that make poor decisions, not the men that are choosing to walk away.
Yes,
I
exactly.
Well,
I did. Oh,
I
I'm a,
concur.
go ahead, and White. I'll go after you because I don't want to hog the mic. I'll go after you.
no.
Yeah,
So
I know
I was
DJ wanted to say something as well. So I think let DJ go, then we go back to Darwin.
so this just real quick. So Bougie, would you prefer that men are forced to have to be with women they impregnated
I mean,
to make sure they're
essentially,
held responsible? Right?
that is what Darwin just said.
No,
I'm
I'm
just
not
saying
disagreeing.
it
I'm
in the
just getting
opposite
clarity.
gender.
It's a two-part question.
Right.
So that man has two different women pregnant. Then what is he supposed to do?
But that is also a great thing that I feel like also correlates to what Darwin said, which Darwin always talks about sexual discipline for women. Darwin always talks about consequences for women. I like my whole purpose in what I'm saying is if we're saying these women should not have stepfathers step in, there should not be a place to step into. So when everybody wants to have these conversations about women made poor decisions, okay, and she made a great decision to be accountable, because I've already stated this. When I look at my husband, I look at it like we was 19, he could have walked away. That's what most 19-year-olds do. He could have said, I don't want to do this. So there was no place for a stepfather to ever step in because he did the what? The responsible, mature thing. So when we're talking about a woman getting a stepfather, it's because there's an empty space there. Men shouldn't, if we're going to say we don't want that empty space to be there, say nobody should be walking away to leave it there. We can't keep saying
I
the
agree with
woman needs to pick better and then, okay, so what? She didn't. Now you grow up and you be better.
No, yeah, I agree
That's
with you.
it.
That's why I don't get why I get pushback when I'm saying people have all of these different families out here floating around. I'm saying y'all need to combine all of that shit and operate as one. That's my whole premise. If you put all of these families together, maybe we'll get a better result. You get a father in the house and multiple incomes or whatever, and multiple generations of people helping and assisting. That was my whole point from the very beginning in regards to that. But I don't know, it be get demonized sometimes. But what's worse is having a baby here, baby there, baby here, baby there. They don't see their
Right.
father. They like you splitting household income. Like the solution to me as like from a logical stance, it just seemed like that would make the most sense if you already done made the mistakes of having, you know what I'm saying? And if you was and then I add you one more. If you're a woman that had multiple children by different fathers, after the second one, if you didn't want to be in a polygamous relationship, then get a child to the father. I would be fine with that too. The
And
first child,
I'm not gonna say I hate that idea because at the end of the day, like my thing is this: